Hey scholars, it is Marvelous Monday. We've learned all about the American Revolution and how the Constitution, or the rules we live by, were written. So now we're going to take a closer look at a couple of founding fathers. Today, we're going to hear all about Benjamin Franklin and the motto he seemed to live by: never leave until tomorrow what you can do today. We will have our at-bats and shout-outs. If you want to get on that shout-out board, just look for the question that's bolded and have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, someone text me that response, okay? We're going to go over the objective. We're going to do our vocabulary words. I will do the read aloud for you, check our understanding, and I'll show you the 3 sentences I want you to write today, okay? Vocab at bats. Who's got the word? George Washington became the first capital. George Washington became the first president. George Washington became the first united. 3, 2, 1. George Washington became the first president. After ratifying the Constitution, the country was capital. After ratifying the Constitution, the country was president. After ratifying the Constitution, the country was united. 3, 2, 1. After ratifying the Constitution, the country was united. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. Washington, D.C. is the permanent of the United States. Washington, D.C. is the united of the United States. 3, 2, 1. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. The rules of the game are capital, they do not change. The rules of the game are permanent, they do not change. The rules of the game are united, they do not change. 3, 2, 1. The rules of the game are permanent, they do not change. All right, shout outs. From ISU, still have not heard from anyone with any word for ISU. I've talked to some moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas on the phone, but I haven't gotten any texts with pictures of work or scholar answers for read alouds. Have someone text me, or you yourself can text me your answers and you can get on my shout out board. And for Ashford, I heard from one scholar for Friday's read aloud. All right, we're moving on to the next part of our lesson. Objective, objective, we learn all about it. I can write a caption to describe the contributions of Benjamin Franklin. I can describe the contributions of Benjamin Franklin. Let's go ahead with vocabulary words. The first word you need to know is almanac. The first word you need to know is almanac. An almanac is a yearly publication that includes a calendar and other helpful information. A yearly publication that includes a calendar and other helpful information. Some farmers use the almanac to decide when to plant their crops. The next word you need to know is apprentice. The next word you need to know is apprentice. An apprentice is somebody trained for a job by someone else who knows the job well. Somebody trained for a job by someone else who knows the job well. The apprentice learned how to mix ink for the printing press. The apprentice learned how to mix ink for the printing press. The next word you need to know is invention. The next word you need to know is invention. An invention is an object that somebody has created for the first time. An object that somebody has created for the first time. The invention of the wheel by the Mesopotamians changed the way modern man lives. And that's it for vocabulary. So where are we? We learned about the founding fathers, how they wrote the Constitution, which are the rules we live by. We learned about how George Washington became our first president. We learned that the capital of our country is named after George Washington. And today we're going to hear all about Benjamin Franklin. Now remember, Benjamin Franklin is considered a founding father. He signed the Declaration of Independence. He signed the Constitution. He was there for a lot of what happened at the start of our country. We're going to hear more about his history, where he grew up, and what happened to him after he signed the Constitution. All right, this is where you get into your GLP as we get ready to hear all about Benjamin Franklin. Like George Washington, Benjamin Franklin was one of the founding fathers of our country. He was never president, but he was a very wise man with wonderful ideas. So Benjamin Franklin is wise because he uses his intelligence to make good choices and do clever things. You will remember that Franklin was part of the Continental Congress, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and a representative of our country in both Great Britain and France. He was all over the place. Long before his days in government, Benjamin Franklin was a successful businessman in Philadelphia. He'd always been a good reader and writer, and as a boy, he'd been an apprentice in his brother's printing shop in Boston. An apprentice is someone who is learning how to do a job from someone who's an expert at the job. His brother was an expert at using the printing press, so Benjamin Franklin became an apprentice there to learn how to do that job. So when he moved to Philadelphia, Franklin set up his own printing shop and started his own newspaper, eventually becoming the busiest printer in the American colonies. For more than 25 years, Benjamin Franklin published a series of books called Poor Richard's Almanac. Benjamin Franklin spelled his almanac with the old-fashioned way with a CK. Today, most people spell almanac with just a C. His almanac was often the only book that people bought. It contained lots of practical information that they wanted to know. For example, the almanac had a calendar with the times of the sunrise and sunset. Today, we listen to the weather forecast on the radio or television. But back then, people looked in their almanacs to find out what the weather would be like. The almanacs also had stories and poems, as well as puzzles, jokes, and lots of advice. Franklin included many wise sayings, many of which we still use today. Have you ever heard anyone say, "Never leave until tomorrow what you can do today"? What do you think that means? What do you think it means, never leave tomorrow what you can do today? Right, it means get it done, right? Franklin must have lived by his own words because he got so much done. He was never still for a minute. His brain was working constantly, spilling over with questions and ideas. Benjamin Franklin had a keen interest in science and the way things worked. As a young boy in Boston, Benjamin spent much of his time swimming in the harbor. Ooh, what else happened in that Boston harbor? Do you remember? Ooh, 5 seconds. What else happened in the Boston harbor? That's right, the Boston Tea Party. Franklin was pretty good at swimming, but he wanted to be even better and faster. One day, he thought of a way he could be a faster swimmer. He found some wood and carved some wooden paddles to fit over his hands and feet, kind of like flippers that divers use today. When he swam with those, he was much faster, probably faster than all the other children his age. As Benjamin Franklin grew older, he continued to invent new things. Anytime he saw a problem, he tried to invent a way to fix it. He had 2 pairs of glasses, one for reading and one to help him see things far away. He didn't like having to switch glasses all day long, so he asked a glass cutter to slice all of his lenses in half. He made 1 new pair of glasses, with the distance lenses on top and the close-up lenses on the bottom. Franklin had just invented bifocal glasses, still worn by many people today. While sitting by the fire one night, Benjamin Franklin watched warm air disappearing up the chimney and wondered if he could trap more warm air inside the house. He made a wood-burning stove out of iron. Franklin's stove was similar to the iron stove that you see in this picture. It put out twice as much heat as a regular fireplace and burned less wood. This stove was named the Franklin stove after its inventor. Lightning was another thing that fascinated Benjamin Franklin. He watched houses and barns burn to the ground when they were struck by lightning. Could it be, he wondered, that lightning was really electricity? He was going to find out. A legend about Franklin's experiment with a kite during a lightning storm goes like this. Remember, a legend is a story that may or may not be true, all right? So, this is a legend. One day, Franklin took his son William out in the middle of a thunderstorm with lightning raging all around them. He tied a little metal key near the end of the string of the kite. So the little yellow key, the key is right here. Look at that yellow dot. That is where the key is, all right? Remember, the kite is at the other end of the string, just outside the picture. This was incredibly dangerous for Benjamin Franklin to do, and he was very lucky he did not get hurt during his experiment. Franklin was pretty sure that if lightning was electricity, flying the kite in the thunderstorm would cause the key to become charged with electricity. He kept touching the key as the kite flew above their heads. As fibers on the kite string stood on end, Franklin felt a little shock. He was right. Lightning was electricity. Franklin used his discovery to invent a lightning rod, a pole that helps carry electricity away from buildings and into the ground. His invention, or creation, is used today to prevent fires caused by lightning strikes. Benjamin Franklin's list of inventions goes on and on. The next time you rock back and forth in a rocking chair, thank Franklin for helping you to relax. This clever man invented the rocking chair. In 1790, just 3 years after Benjamin Franklin helped to write the Constitution for our country, He died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 84. 20,000 people attended his funeral. At the time, the biggest funeral ever held in Philadelphia. Bells rang out for one of America's greatest heroes. If you look at this picture, you will see a flag flying half-mast or halfway up the flagpole. And that's it. All right, so you're going to shout out yes if this is something that Benjamin Franklin did, or no if it's something he did not do. There's one in here that's really trying to trick you, so make sure you're paying attention. Did Benjamin Franklin sign the Declaration of Independence? Yes, he did. Did he invent those swimming fins? Yes, he did. What about Poor Richard's Almanac? Did he publish that? Yes, he did. Finally, was he President of the United States? No way. He was not president. He did all these things, but he was not president. All right, watch for my bolded question here. This bolded question is a chance for you and your classmates to show a lot of teamwork. When I'm looking for teamwork this week, what I want to see is I want to see which class is responding. A lot of you have phone numbers for other teammates. Try to call, try to text, try to work together across this distance to see which class responds to my teamwork question more, Ashford or ISU. That bolded question, I'm looking for so many responses from you and your teammates. Here we go. What did Benjamin Franklin do at his brother's print shop? What did he do at his print shop? He was a what? He was an apprentice. If you said he was an apprentice, you're absolutely correct. What are some things he invented? Shout out, what are some things he invented? You can shout out that he invented the flippers, the rocking chair, the bifocals, the stove to keep you warm, the lightning rod, so many things. Finally, here's where you get the chance to show me that teamwork. If you could invent something, what would you invent? What would you invent? This is your chance to earn that Grow Our Team point, and whichever class has a higher number, I'll work out a class point for them as well because they've shown the most teamwork. If you could invent something, what would you invent? I need mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, or you yourself to text me what you would invent if you could invent something. What would it be? Our packet pages today, there aren't really packet pages per se, but you have 3 sentences. I want you to use the word almanac in a sentence. I want you to use the word apprentice in a sentence. And I want you to use the word invention in a sentence. Those 3, all right? If you want to pause the video right now to write down on some notebook paper exactly what words you need to use, that's fine. But these are the 3 sentences I want you to write today, all right? And that is it for our lesson today. Text me what you would invent if you could invent something. What would it be? Would it be a solution to a problem? Would it be some sort of fun new toy? Would it be a video game? Would it be a new video game system? But if you could invent something, what would you invent? I'm looking for those responses to give you a Grow Our Team point. All right, guys? And if I get at least 5 responses, my next video, I will introduce you to one of my cats. You've seen pictures, you'll get to see the actual cat. All right? Stay home, stay safe. I miss you all so much. Bye.